Okay, so I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the FineWoven case for it for about a little bit over a month or so, and I have some thoughts about it. Real quick, if you haven't checked out my previous video where I run through down the unboxing and quick overview of this, go check that out, or don't, it's up to you. But I laid down kind of like the ground works and all my thoughts in that video, so this video is kind of like a following up from that video. And also just to preface, I'm not a tech reviewer, tech enthusiast, so I'm not going to go through all the, the benchmarks, the GPU, the CPU performance of this beast, nothing like that. I'm just an average consumer, so just gonna talk about it from the average viewer's perspective and go into a brief overview of what I feel about this phone, as well as this case, which I think the main takeaways from this video probably might be this case. But yeah, so far this phone has been amazing. Like I said in my previous video, I upgraded from the 14 Pro Max and I really didn't need to, but the only reason I did was because this felt like this year's performance, this year's upgrade felt like a big upgrade compared to like last year's, right? From the 14, or I mean the 13 to the 14. 14 to the 15 feels bigger. Also because I cracked my last year's model, right? Which goes to show, definitely get a case when you go outside. If you have last year's model, there's no need to upgrade. If you even have the 13, there's no need to upgrade. If you have the 12, I think it might be time to upgrade. But comparatively to last year's model, this one just feels so much sleeker, and you wouldn't really know, or you wouldn't really think of, just because on paper it doesn't seem like a big update, right? But the contoured edges, despite being so like minimal in the edge design, like when you're looking at it just face on, it doesn't look that substantial, but when you actually hold it in hand, it just feels so much more compact than last year and the year before's model, that when you have last year's model back in hand again, it just feels so much more bulkier and just like a brick in comparison to the new one. The new one just feels so much better in hand. The same is true for the bezels. So if you guys didn't know, the new model has slightly slimmer bezels than the old one. I don't know if you can tell on camera here. If you can't tell, I'll put a clip over this one. But yeah, the bezels are thinner and much better, which when you first have it in hand, yes, you can tell the difference, but over time, you don't really notice it that much. It's not until you go back to the old phone where you notice how thick the bezels in the old phone are, which comparatively to other iPhone models aren't that thick anyway. So it's kind of weird. A good comparison of that, or a good analogy of that, is like when you use a 60 hertz display refresh rate in a monitor, and then you go to something like 140 hertz, which is basically like the next step up, right? And I have one myself, and so making the comparison, right? When you first make that jump, it feels nice. It does. It feels very smooth. Over time, though, it just doesn't. You get used to it. You get used to it. It's not that big of a deal. But it's once you go back to the 60 hertz refresh rate from the 100 hertz where you're like, wow, it's so much worse. This is the same case here with both the design, the holding of it, the bezels as well. It's not once you go back to the old phone where you realize how good the new one is and you kind of take it for granted. So yeah, that's what I feel about it. Also, the natural titanium colorway, I do not regret this choice at all, even though I like the blue one, but man, the lighter shade, especially the natural, looks so elegant, so classy. It's got like a champagne kind of vibe to it, even though some people might say it's gray. The natural sunlight, when you're out, right, the sun gives a kind of orange kind of tones. Or I'm not a science major, I'm not a physicist or whatever, but yeah, the sun gives, so by that reflecting onto this phone, gives it a more kind of champagne and like starlight feel, if you will. Definitely really, really nice, especially without the case, which I will get to in a second, don't you worry. Also, a lot of people have been complaining, and I saw this in the first few weeks, maybe only the first 2 weeks of its release date. I haven't heard about it recently, but a lot of people have complained about how this phone's overheating problems, stuff like that, or it might be due to the titanium frame. It might be due to how the CPU or GPU or whatever doesn't know when to, control itself. I don't know the specifics, but what I do know from my use, okay, I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, 512 gigabyte storage in the natural titanium, just for anyone wondering, and if it differentiates or it differs between models. But for my one, it's been flawless. I really haven't noticed any overheating issues at all. The only time I have noticed it, there have been maybe only once or twice, where, like MKBHD has said in his iPhone 15 Pro review or whatever, there have been certain times where this phone just suddenly overheats, and you could be doing the simplest of tasks and you don't know what it could be due to, right? Because you do multiple different things on this phone, right? But suddenly it just overheats, it gets a bit hot around this area, and then suddenly 5 to 10%, between 5 to 10% of the phone battery just disappears instantly. And that's happened maybe once or twice. Probably 5% of my time owning this phone, so it's really nothing to get worried about. I do have a hunch though. I think I was uploading a lot of photos and a lot of storage to iCloud and syncing and all that, so it might be possibly due to that. But I mean, from my experience, from in-hand experience, I haven't really noticed any overheating issues, and I feel like a lot of things on social media get blown out of proportion. And yes, while some people have experienced overheating issues, I'm not saying, every model is different, every user experience is different. From my end, no issues whatsoever. And I feel like a lot of the comments on social media as well, while not all of them, might be people who don't even own the phone, who just go on social media, see what they see, and then try to just talk slander to the phone, even though they don't own it. They just say what they see online. So yeah, that's why I feel like a lot of people were talking about it in the first few weeks, and it's not actually that bad, or as bad as many people think it is. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. This phone's been awesome so far. I think the best thing about it is the compact design. The action button as well. I think I said it in my last video. It's been a game changer for me. Like, I just use it as my flashlight, right? And yeah, you could easily be like, oh, just use the flashlight thing here, right? It's not the same, and I'll tell you why. This action button has a very nice tactile feel, and it reminds me to past flashlights where it's not on the phone or whatever. You just grab a torch, like the good old days, right? And then you press a button to activate it. Like, it just has that nice kind of feedback, and it's just being left-handed myself, even right-handed, I feel like it's fine. But being left-hander, being able to just get out of bed, just do this on a push of a button to activate anything really is just so convenient. And it's something I never knew is as good as it is before I got the chance to use it, basically. I'm gonna give you a listen right now. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but this is the regular power and up, down volume buttons. And then this is the action button. It's a different feeling button, which is what I'm trying to say, which is nice. Let's move on to the case, right? Now, first and foremost, this case, apart from one big flaw, which I will mention later, has been probably the best case Apple has produced, in my opinion. I've owned both I haven't owned the clear case of Apple. Clear case, it doesn't really appeal to me. You can get clearer cases. You can get better cases that are the same clear case for a cheaper price. But comparatively, between the silicone, leather, and this case has to be my favorite. I've never been a fan of the leather cases. While they do feel premium, I've never been a fan of the patina style, and also it scratches easily and just doesn't look good over time in my opinion. The silicone case, it feels better and I love it. You know, the feel, the grippiness of it, and the look of it, the matte kind of colored finish of it is great, but it tracks a lot of dust and lint if you have it inside your pocket. Over time, it doesn't look that good either. So this is like a combination of what's best of both worlds. It feels really nice. It's nice and grippy. The volume, but like the buttons, it's nice and metallic aluminum, very premium feeling. But one big problem of this, and you know, a lot of people speculated this in the first few, you know, when they first got it in hand. It's not very durable, which is a shame. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. If you can't see it, I'll put some clips. But you see, there's already a tear there. And there's another one that's kind of growing here as well. Now, I don't baby my phone. I don't baby my case, okay? I also don't, I'm not necessarily that rough in it. But to give you some context, I work in hospitality. I go and I work in a restaurant probably around 4 nights a week, and I carry my phone. Even though I put my phone, in those 4 days, I always use this case because, you know, from my experience with this, I obviously, every time I go out, I want to use a case. Even though this case, this phone, at its natural naked form, it is the best, and that's why at home, right, like 3 days of the week or whatever, I always use it without a case. So yeah, use this case 4 times a week. And even though at my job, I just have my phone in my pocket, sometimes, you know, in a restaurant, sometimes I grab my phone out really quickly. Sometimes I put it in my pocket really fast. Like, it's very fast paced, as you expect. And yeah, that's as a result of this. My nails as well. Some might say I have kind of feminine nails, where my nails jut out more than the average person. And even though, like, if I clip them to a point, at the bare minimum, where, you know, it doesn't hurt or whatever, it still kind of juts out a bit. So that might be a result of this. And even then, it's still kind of a shame where something as, you know, as blunt, it's not even that sharp, as blunt as a nail, could do major damage like this. And this is even just in a month of usage that it's already ripped and it doesn't look that good anymore. I can still deal with it, but for paying $99 here in Australia, at least, I think it's $10 more than the leather cases. For this to happen, pretty unacceptable. So that's a major flaw. Even though this material does feel very good, it feels very nice. Like, it doesn't feel cheap at all. This material is still very thin and can scratch and break very easily. To give you like a sense of what this material sounds like, I don't think I did it in the previous video, so I'm gonna do it now. This material is made of FineWoven, like on the back and on the side. So it's not rub on the sides, even though it looks like a different material because it's a different shade. Here, let me show you. That's on the back. That's on the side. But yeah, especially the taupe colorway, I feel like it is so well like matched with the natural titanium, and it's very good. The magnets for the MagSafe on the back is also really nice, really strong. But I don't know if you can see it here. If you can, I'll show clips to overlay. But yeah, once you use the MagSafe, the magnet on the back a lot, like I usually do. I have a MagSafe mouse pad or MagSafe desk mat or whatever, you can really notice the magnet circle kind of ring around the back here, which isn't very attractive, as you can see. And also there are a few micro scratches after a month and a little bit more. It's still fine though. That's not, the back is, even though it doesn't look as attractive as day one, obviously, I can deal with it. What I can't deal with is how it's already ripped. And like I said, to reiterate, I guess, I don't necessarily baby my phone. I'm not necessarily that rough with it either. So for this to happen, it's actually kind of crazy. But I do feel like if I stayed at home all day and didn't really go out, didn't really do anything, this probably wouldn't have happened in a month. It probably would have happened maybe 3 months. It really depends if you're rough with it, but just don't run your nail accidentally through this case. Don't be rough with it, which in today's world, and if you work all the time and travel, it can be hard. So that's a shame, but hopefully this video showed you something, and yeah. Hopefully I didn't spend all video rambling. I noticed it's quite long, but I just wanted to talk about everything and my initial thoughts. So yeah, if you stayed until this point, thanks so much. Make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe. Hopefully got everything or most things out about what I feel about these two things. Amazing phone, amazing case, except for one big issue, which is a pretty big one. Which is a shame, but it is what it is. Make sure to check out my main channel, my movie review channel, which I linked on the homepage of this channel. And yeah, stay tuned for future videos. Until next time.